Hello and welcome to another Brightwave tutorial. In this video, I'm going to cover how to get started with connected apps. Now, connected apps work a little bit more differently than other tools that you may use, but the outcome is the same, and the way that we do it makes it very, very flexible. So what you may be used to is logging into a tool and then under the integrations section, having a limited number of tools that you can connect with that is decided by the developers of that app, and essentially what you are provided is what you get. We've taken a little bit of a different approach using the power of AI that is within our system to allow and extend Brightwave to integrate with any tool across the web that has an API, an open API, where you can get an API key. Now, what this means is that the process for getting set up may be a little bit different than what you're used to, but on the kind of other side, there's no limitation and no downtime or wait time for connecting with pretty much any tool across the web. Now, I want to caveat that by saying that there are tools that may have API connections. Typically, these are data tools, things like Bloomberg's or the Bloomberg's of the world, or other like news and data providers where the data itself is the product. Typically, those require an enterprise license with the tool that's connecting to, and as such, there may be a few tools like that you can't necessarily pull in their data from. They don't want essentially folks scraping their entire database, and so they require us to partner with them before we provide that data. If you have a case where that may be the case, please let us know in the comments. But short of that, if you have an API key, for the most part, we can connect to it. So I'm going to get started by showing where to find this. If we click on the little profile icon, all settings, and then connected apps, we'll see this screen. If I click new app, I don't know why it keeps trying to pre-fill that information, and then we're going to start by showing the advanced options. We can see all of the information that's required and needed. So the first thing we're going to do is enter a name. This doesn't affect things technically, but this is going to be what shows up in your menu. And so naming it the name of the tool you're connecting to is most useful. Next, we're going to actually go and we're going to find the developer documentation for whichever tool we're connecting to. So you can see the URL here for HubSpot and the placeholder. I actually have Notion here. It's super easy. So we're going to take this URL and grab this and put it where it says documentation. This is going to help our system, the AI agents, if they need context about how to work with the API, they can actually read this URL and crawl the site and figure out for themselves how to use the API. The next thing we're going to do is grab the API domain. In this case, it's api.notion.com. It typically looks something like that, api.website. And we're going to put that right here. If you are connecting multiple instances of the same tool, so say you have multiple Notion accounts, you have your personal Notion account and you have your work Notion account, you can connect both of them to Brightwave, and you'll be able to distinguish between the two using the label here. So I'm going to say Brightwave, and then we're going to figure out the kind of most technical thing here is this header prefix. You don't have to do this. This is going to be something that the system will catch for you, when it gets started. But sometimes if we can, give it a head start, usually that's found right here. If we see an example, what it's looking for is this right here. So the authorization method is using this bearer method. So all we're going to do is going to come back here and type in bearer. It's very often bearer, which is why that's the example. And the last thing we're going to need to do is get an API key. So I'm not going to go through and grab the actual API key. But within the Notion account, you can log in. You can go to the developer section. You can grab your API key and you can paste it in here. So I'll just do like a little placeholder, click add app. Now I'm going to have access, presuming I put in a working API key, I have my first integration set up as a connected app. So from here, the way that you use connected apps, you can come into a chat, you click the plus button, and now once we get started, let's create a new project. We can click into connected apps, and now you'll see the Notion instance that I created right here. So with that said, you can basically, now access anything within that Notion account. Sometimes there's some permissions that you have to set up on the API key itself. That's going to be on a case-by-case basis, but for the time being, if you go through this process, you now have Notion here. So in order to use this, I would say something like pull all of the notes from Notion and add them as sources. And when I hit go, it would basically go into Notion. It would collect all of those notes. It might ask me some clarifying questions to understand which notes I want to pull in, and then it will return them. And now I can use them as sources. You can do the same thing with things like HubSpot, where you could go in and look at customer records and pull recent notes of, CRM records or Deal Cloud, or if you use Canoe or a VDR service, you can basically have those pulled in. If we don't support the native connection, we have a bunch of native source connections, but if you wanted to do a query in real time, you could connect there. The sky is really the limit with what you can do with connected apps. It's an incredibly powerful tool, and we look forward to seeing how you leverage it to get done deals, faster and make better decisions. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please drop them in the notes below. We look forward to serving you soon.